Is your debt causing you sleepless nights? Knock your debt out with Debt KO. And your debt won't be the only thing keeping you up at night. Debt KO, free impartial advice on all your debt.
This is KUGAN CASSIUS for Eiffel TV in association with MTK Global. First of all, happy birthday, Ben Davison.
Thanks, mate. Thank you.
How old are you?
22.
22.
Yeah, doing all right now.
Fair enough, fair enough. Is this one of these things where, like, you can't ask a woman their age? So we can't ask you your age. Oh, 21 again.
They all do that, don't they?
They're like 45. How old are you? 21 again.
And as they do that little hip wiggle, you can see the hips look about 60.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah, first of all, reaction to a fantastic win for Joyce yesterday. Go on, you speak. We're here to hear what you say. So what did you make of Joe's performance, Daniel's performance?
Go on, what was you going to say?
I was going to say, the majority of people I spoke to were picking Dubois to win there by stoppage yesterday. So obviously what unfolded wasn't the case, but what was your take on it?
Yeah, I sort of said every time I got asked, like, I wouldn't be surprised by any outcome. I couldn't call it because anything could happen. I think we saw that in the fight because it was like round one, Joe come out, established his jab. I think the first punch sort of put Daniel on his heels. And he sort of dominated the first round behind the jab. Daniel obviously went back to the corner and Martin must have said to him, you know, you clearly aren't going to win this fight at that distance. So I heard him say you need to make yourself short, become the short guy and sort of try to close the gap and bring his power into play. And he did that in the second round. Then it was like, oof, you know, the fight took a quick turn. Then it was back and forth for a few rounds. But I think the consistency of Joe's what won it for him. And I said before that Daniel's like a well-coordinated heavyweight where his hands and feet work together, you know, he's well-coordinated, whereas Joe's a bit uncoordinated, but makes it work for him. And I think because of that, he's very hard to read. It looked like his jab didn't have any tell, although it doesn't look amazingly fast. Often you see people who are fast and they sort of cock it and there's a bit of tell when they're throwing their shot. But with Joe, it looks like there is no tell, and that's why he's so accurate and so consistent with that jab, and it proved to be the deciding factor in the end.
Obviously, we know one of Joe's strengths is what you're talking about there, but did you think that would be so key in his victory last night and so kind of prominent that jab basically won in the fight?
Not from Joe Joyce's part, but I thought that Daniel would have his jab defense would be a bit better. He was trying to be too reactive, almost stood still waiting for the jab to then slip it. The best defensive fighters, they're proactive, so they're doing things to then make the thing happen to then get out of the way of the shot. They don't just stand there waiting and go, here comes a punch, slip. Here comes another punch, slip. Maybe once you've got in sync with somebody and know what's coming and their punch rhythm and their punch timing and their punch selection. But early doors, you know, you often have to do things to make things happen. So you might bait a jab, or you're already moving your head halfway there when the shot comes, slip, or when he was jabbing with him, not jabbing with his head up, right? And Martin was asking him to do that. Martin was right, but taking his head off and splitting the jab, same time jabbing. But I just think he was a bit took away by that, the style with Joe, and that where there's no tell in the shot and it's very uncoordinated, you know. To get in sync with Joe looks to be something that would be very difficult because, like I say, it's uncoordinated and it's out of rhythm to the conventional.
In a post-fight interview Joe did with Umar last night, quote Joe Joyce, he broke his heart. I broke his heart and made him quit. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I'll always say, look, as a coach, I'm happy to sit here and say this person should be doing this person should be doing that. You know, technique needs to be this, tactically that. But I'm never going to sit here and question a fighter's heart, because I just think it's not something that, if you've gone on, won a world title and done that, and then I think you have a right, and it's your opinion. But I would never do that. I would never say that. So I'm not going to say that. You know, he's a young man. I'm sure he'll be able to come again.
Yeah, I think it's easy for someone to sit on the couch. Not talking about you, but in general.
That's right. That's right.
And say a fighter quit or whatever. I do think you in some terms have to be qualified to give an opinion about that. And I think it's easy for people, like I said, watching that fight last night, turn around and go that. But listen, Daniel Dubois is the only one that really knows kind of what that situation is. And I think it's, say, disrespectful, but like I said, for people to sit there and go, oh, he quit. Do you know what I mean? I don't think that's particularly...
Yeah, a fighter themselves that's done the 12 rounds and been in a real grueling physical fight, you know, he will have the right to say whatever he wants on that opinion. But as a coach, it's not really something that you should be having an opinion on. So, yeah, you know, it's a tough growing fight. There was sticky patches before that Daniel come through and showed some grit and determination. It'd be interesting to see Daniel's reflection, you know, a month down the line, and see how he feels about it.
And before the fight, when you look at it, kind of where they are in their careers as well, and the age difference in between, which is obviously quite a thing. And when you look at it, like where a defeat for Joe would have been more difficult for Joe at his age, 34 or 35, to kind of move on from that. But Daniel Dubois is 21 or 22. So he's still effectively got his whole career ahead of him.
Yeah, he has. I mean, I think something like a 10-round Christian Hammer, a Marius Wack, something like that's a good fight for Daniel, which is going to, you know, you'd expect to take him the distance. Ask a couple of questions along the way, a few more than Kevin Johnson did, and see him learn from that. So, but look, it was one of them fights where it was I kept saying it, I think most people thought it, where you can call the winner, but nobody knew exactly what was going to happen, because it was a proper 50-50, and there was moments in there that it looked like, do you know what, Daniel could come on top here. But Joe weathered the storm, come back, stuck to his guns and stuck to his game plan, and got a good win. So, you know, there has to be a winner and loser, and as long as Daniel goes back to the drawing board and they keep working on things and improving and developing, I'm sure he'll come back and have another shot at moving on to world level.
With Joe Joyce, there was always an urgency from when Joe turned pro. I think if he had his pro debut against Ian Lewison, didn't he?
Ian Lewison, yeah.
Yeah, and there's always been that kind of little bit of urgency just because of Joe's age to move him up as quick as they can. But when you look through his resume now, his resume looks quite healthy. But where does he go from here? Like, what is that fight now that kind of, is he ready for, like, I mean, there was talk, obviously there's going to be talk of the situation with Alexander Usyk, but is he ready for that level now?
I think he's at the point where you got to put him in and see, you know. There's no point going, a year down the line. Let's just see, he's had a good win. He's had a couple of good wins back to back, so I think he's at the point where, you know, we need to find out. It's time to see.
Indeed, but fair play. Listen, fair play to both of them. I think when you see two fighters like that take a big gamble and a big risk in their careers to face each other, people saying comparing it to when, not age-wise because it was different, but De Gale fought Groves all them years ago, and it was like fair play to both of them. They still both went on and become world champions and carried on. I know age-wise it's different, especially for Joe, but fair play to both of them for taking that fight last night.
But that really could still happen. Both men could go on to win a world title. So, yeah, definitely good. You're right there, Coop.
Okay, well, Ben Davison, thank you very much for talking to IFL TV this Sunday morning, and hope you have a wonderful day and a safe flight to Dubai.
Thanks, mate.
Take it easy.
Be safe.
Cool.
Is your debt causing you sleepless nights? Knock your debt out with Debt KO. And your debt won't be the only thing keeping you up at night. Debt KO, free impartial advice on all your debt.